do not come and watch Virgil live because you're gonna be afraid of what you see. So
Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Oh my gosh, that is a joke. That is a joke. Do you really think that Jarambus Ennis is scared of Virgil Ortiz? Do you think that? Be honest with me in the comments. This is Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to the channel. I saw the fight last night. It was amazing. It was impressive. I'm not gonna take anything away from Virgil Ortiz, but at the same time, I have a few things I have to say about this fight. I got some pros and cons with this fight. I'm not taking away credit from Virgil Ortiz. I think he did a phenomenal job. He looked impressive. But before I go and elaborate on what I didn't like about the end of the fight, I'm going to talk about what Oscar De La Hoya just said. What do you think about what Oscar De La Hoya said? Do you think that Jarambus Ennis is going to be more afraid to fight Virgil Ortiz after seeing him live? You know, De La Hoya's been saying things and, back and forth with Jarambus Ennis and Eddie Hearns. And he said that Eddie Hearns and Jarambus Ennis refused to fight. They didn't sign that end of the bargain. And they're saying that they signed the contract that De La Hoya and Virgil Ortiz didn't sign. But do you actually believe that Jarambus Ennis was actually afraid to fight Virgil Ortiz? He took a flight in spite of getting being hard for him to go back to Philly. He took flights that he took a chance in actually being stranded over there in Texas, not being able to get a flight back because he really wanted to prove to Virgil Ortiz and Oscar De La Hoya that he's more than ready and capable to fight him next. Robert Garcia is saying that Jarambus Ennis is not going to fight Virgil Ortiz next, that he doubts it. He's just saying that. But he's actually, they had a face-off after the fight, Virgil Ortiz. And let me talk about the fight itself. I like what Virgil Ortiz did. He really impressed me. I didn't expect him to get a stoppage. I thought the fight would go further, maybe 8 rounds, the most. How you doing? Thanks for tuning into my channel. Tigran Chicky Adventures 2720. Hi. Thanks for tuning into my channel. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. Everybody that tunes into my channel's family. But what do you think about the stoppage? I think the stoppage was a little premature. I think the stoppage was premature. I believe that regardless, that Virgil Ortiz was gonna win the fight, regardless. But I wanted the referee to give I wanted the referee to give Erickson Lubin an opportunity to respond, to recover, because you should give him the benefit of the doubt, even though he was getting beat and he had that high guard, and Virgil Ortiz was able to throw hooks and uppercuts. Okay, Tigran Chica Adventure 2720 says, I don't really watch boxing. Well, this is a boxing channel, so, but I appreciate you tuning in and subscribing to the channel. I'm just telling it how it is, and I appreciate everybody tuning into my channel. Everybody that tunes into my channel is family. January, Teofimo. Okay, Low Nose Boxing. Hey, my brother, Low Nose Boxing. Thanks for tuning into my channel. Number 2, he says, January, Teofimo is going to beat a black and Puerto Rican at the same time when he beats Shakur Stevenson and shocks the world again. He's not going to beat Shakur Stevenson. He is not going to beat Shakur Stevenson. Low Nose Boxing, I respect your opinion, but I believe that Shakur Stevenson is levels above Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo Lopez has not been the same fighter since Lomachenko, like right after Lomachenko with Kambosos. He hasn't avenged his loss with Kambosos, and he hasn't been the same fighter. Okay, he beat Arnold Barbosa, but Arnold Barbosa was lethargic and slow, and a decent fighter, but nothing to be clamoring that he was like a top elite fighter. He doesn't fight Subriel Matias, and Subriel Matias already tried to fight him a few times, 2 times, and he refused the most money that he ever was going to get in his career. I think it was $3 million. So Teofimo Lopez, I used to be a huge fan of his, but when he started having cambosis problems and he never avenged the loss, and then he hasn't looked good, he hasn't been as consistent. The last time he fought Arnold Barbosa, he looked good, but the guy, Arnold Barbosa, was predictable, and it made it easy for Teofimo Lopez to look good against. Okay, I'm going to read the comment. Low Nose Boxing says, bro, Teo is going to beat Shakur. I believe Teo at his best and Focus is super special. I believe he's a special fighter. I'm not taking nothing away from Teofimo Lopez, but Teofimo Lopez, mentally, he's not the same anymore. He's not the same fighter. He's not the same fighter that beat Lomachenko, and I think that he's not going to beat Shakur Stevenson. Focus or not focus, he is not on that level. And he's saying that Shakur Stevenson is slow. Teofimo Lopez, he's saying outlandish stuff that he's going to find out in the ring, just like William Cepeda did. But I believe that William Cepeda is not as skillful as Teofimo Lopez, but he's mentally in the fight. He's not mentally damaged by anything out, from a boxing loss like he had with cambosis, or he's not mentally affected. He was the best version of himself when he fought Shakur Stevenson. So I believe that William Cepeda was focused and he was relentless. He threw a lot of combination. I believe that this is going to be an interesting fight. I believe it's going to be an interesting fight. I'm not going to say that Shakur Stevenson is going to have an easy fight with Teofimo Lopez. I'm not saying that, but I believe he will most likely dominate him, because I believe that he's levels above Teofimo Lopez as far as skill and mentally. He proved it with William Cepeda, but he didn't have to prove it with him. He already had the goods, but he showed everybody that he can beat all kinds of styles. And I believe that Tank Davis, I don't know if that fight's ever going to come to fruition. Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. I don't know. Right now, he's having trouble with legal trouble, and the ridiculous circus fight with Jake Paul has been canceled. I don't really care about that fight. I never did. But what do you guys think about the stoppage with Erickson Lubin versus Virgil Ortiz? Do you think that they stopped the fight prematurely? I think they did. They should have gave Erickson Lubin a chance to recover. I think he was a champion before. No, he was not a champion. He's never been a champion. What am I talking about? But I believe that they should have gave him the benefit of the doubt to recover and come back and see how he comes back. But I do believe that Virgil Ortiz was going to win regardless, and I was impressed with the win, but I don't think that he's the best at the division. I think right now Jerome Boots Ennis will probably be the best in that division, based on I'm not saying based on his last fight, because his last fight, like the fighter Lima that he beat was not an elite fighter. We expected him to dominate him like that, but to fight against Xander Zayas or Virgil Ortiz, we're gonna see a better version and demonstration from Jerome Boots Ennis. But I do believe that Jerome Boots Ennis is a very, very great fighter, and he's gonna prove it. And I think that he will definitely knock out Virgil Ortiz if Bokacic was able to knock him down 2 times. And I believe he did lose that fight, Virgil Ortiz. I imagine what Jerome Boots Ennis is gonna do. But styles make fights, so we don't know. But I think it's gonna be an interesting fight, and I think that the fight will be good while it lasts. And I believe that if Virgil Ortiz fights Jerome Boots Ennis, I think it'll be a decent competitive fight until the 6th, 7th round. And I believe that in the 7th round or 8th round, Jerome Boots Ennis will stop him. I believe he will stop him or knock him out. Either way, he's a very entertaining fighter, Virgil Ortiz. I like what I saw, and I still give him the credit for winning by stoppage. But I just feel that that they stopped the fight too soon between Virgil Ortiz and Erickson Lubin. They should have gave Erickson Lubin a few more, maybe another round to see how he comes out. All right, let me see what they're saying here. I'm gonna read the comments that I think not disrespectful. No Lubin was slept standing. Yeah, I agree. MAW 1231. I agree. He was out on his feet. No doubt about that. You know, he had a high guard, and I believe that Virgil Ortiz did a number on him. He really threw a lot of impressive combinations, and I really believe that high guard was very susceptible to the uppercuts and hooks of Virgil Ortiz, which he showed. He showed what he's made of. I give him credit. He's gotten better, and he was very he was technically sound too. He was showing his boxing, and he also showed his power. Virgil Ortiz, I give him credit. I feel they should have gave the Erickson Lubin like a chance to recover, because like as soon as Virgil Ortiz jumped on him and started giving him uppercuts and was tagging him, he should have waited for him to go down and then let him get up, and then see if he goes the next round, and then if the next round see how the fight progresses. But they didn't give him a chance to recover. I think that they were just making sure that the fight between Joran Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz doesn't get blocked by a possible upset if this guy would have recovered, if Erickson Lubin would have recovered. So they wanted to make sure that as soon as he got hurt, they stopped the fight immediately, so that way it doesn't mess up any big money fights with Joran Boots Ennis. So I feel like they jumped on it right away, and they stopped it a little bit too premature. But I do believe that either way, Virgil Ortiz was going to win. But I wanted to see how Erickson Lubin comes back and and retaliates, because give the fight a chance, give the guy a fighting chance to come back and recover from getting pummeled like that. Because there's times that when people get pummeled and it seems like they're gonna get knocked out, and then they come back like later, in the second round or third round. However, I just wanted to see how the fight would progress after him getting hurt. They didn't give him a chance to respond. They didn't give Erickson Lubin a chance to respond to see how he would do after getting hurt in the following rounds to come. So I guess they just stopped this soon because they felt like there's a big money fight between Virgil Ortiz and Joran Boots Ennis that could be made. So let's stop this as soon as possible. But either way, I think Virgil Ortiz gave a great demonstration of himself, and he made a good account of himself. And I believe that it's going to be a good fight between Joran Boots Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz. Okay, let me see. Let me read the comments. MAW 1231, number 2. Boots versus Virgil without a full title on the line would be crazy, but fire. Yeah, because he's an interim champion. He's not a full champion. You're right. You're right about that. Thanks for the comment. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to that channel. I appreciate your comment. MAW 1231. Boots versus Virgil without a full title on the line would be crazy, but fire. It's a great fight to watch. But the real champion is Xander Zayas. Xander Zayas is gonna fight January 31st in Puerto Rico. He's gonna defend his title against Abis Barral. It's already official. And Teofimo Lopez is gonna fight Shakur Stevenson on the same date, January 31st. That's gonna be interesting. I got Shakur Stevenson winning by unanimous decision or majority decision. Either way, I got Shakur Stevenson winning. I think that Teofimo's head is not in the right place, and I don't think that he is the same Teofimo Lopez that beat Lomachenko. He's not the same guy. All right. Okay. MAW 1231. Them peeling hooks, Loma style was devastating. Z. All right, the Blue Baron 2791, Puerto Rico. Yes, Puerto Rico. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Do you guys think that the fight between Virgil Ortiz versus Erickson Lubin was stopped a little bit prematurely? Just a little bit? Do you think they should have gave Erickson Lubin a chance to recover and see how he comes back against Virgil Ortiz? I think that every fighter deserves a chance to come back after being hurt, because it shows what the fighter's made of, and we want to see how the fighter comes back from after getting hurt, because the most dangerous man is a hurt man. The most dangerous boxer is a fighter who is hurt. Whenever a fighter is hurt, that makes him more dangerous or makes him more vulnerable. But I think when a fighter's hurt, their survival skills enhance a little more, especially if they're warriors. and they don't want to lose, and they have that grit and attitude. And I believe that Erickson Lubin, he could have came back a little bit if they would have given the fight a chance to go another round or two. We don't know. We don't know. But I think Virgil Ortiz actually did his thing. And I feel that he's not going to be able to do that with Jerome Ennis. Jerome Ennis is another animal. And yes, Jerome Ennis has been in fights where he's gotten hit, you know. He's gotten hit, but I feel like Stanionis' fight, he's gotten hit in that fight, but he did a great job. He looked very impressive in knocking him out. And I believe that he's been hit before in other fights before Stanionis. And he looked really, really impressive with Stanionis, undefeated fighter. But I believe that Jerome Ennis, he's just getting better and better and better every time he fights. And he's the truth from Philly. And I like the face off they did, the little back and forth after the fight. I think that's really dope. That's really great for boxing. It makes people get excited for boxing. Let me read the other comments. The Blue Baron 2791. Why do Cuban boxers struggle in the profession? That's a good question. Why do Cuban boxers struggle in the professional? I think, this is my hypothesis. Cuban boxers, a lot of them, when they go to the professionals, they're already old. They're not that young. A lot of times, I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of the boxers that in Cuba, they let them go amateur, but when they go professional, they're like older, I think, and they have and I don't think it's all of them that are older. There's fighters that they stay stuck with the amateur style. A lot of the fighters, a lot of the Cuban fighters, they don't adapt to the pros as well because they stay in the amateurs for a while. That's what I think. You guys give me your opinion, give me your feedback. Let me know what you think. But Cuban fighters, we had Ortiz Gamboa. He was pretty good. He was pretty good in his career. Ortiz Gamboa. What was Stevenson? What was the other one? I think Stevenson. I don't think he went pro. I think he was. I think he did, but he was already older. You guys, let me know a little bit about the Cuban boxing. What I don't want to say Rolly Romero is a Cuban boxer, even though he's Cuban descent, but he's terrible. He's a horrible example of a Cuban American boxer. I'm not speaking Spanish, but I could if you want. But right now I'm focusing on my English followers. But the people that follow me in the Spanish channel, they could actually, the Spanish viewers, I'll actually translate every now and then. I do that. And all my interviews with the boxers that I interview from Puerto Rico, they're in Spanish. They're all in Spanish for the most part. Yep. So you can check out my latest interview with Abisael Cotto. I interviewed him 2 days ago. And he is going to fight on November 22nd on the undercard of Juanma Lopez versus Gallo the Producer. Abisael Cotto is going to fight Felix Caraballo. That's a really, really great test for him. Abisael Cotto is 9-0 with 8 KOs in the 130 weight class division. We talked about the 130 weight class division. We talked about Oshiki Foster. We talked about Stephen Fulton, who is moving up in weight to challenge for Oshiki Foster's WBC belt. And there's really no face in the 130-pound weight class. But I believe that Abisael Cotto is going to be the face of the 130 weight class. Yeah, Luis Ortiz fought Wilder. Yeah, I remember. Luis Ortiz fought Wilder. Yep, Mao 1231. Luis Ortiz fought Wilder. Xander versus Abis Barao. Unification should be fired. That's going to be fired. I think that's a really, really competitive, tough outing for Xander Zayas, but I think on paper, Xander Zayas is a special, talented boxer who can hurt you too, but he's more of a boxer puncher. He's not the one-punch power hitter, but he can stop you with combinations because of his speed, Xander Zayas. I think that Xander Zayas has a very tough fight in front of him with Abis Barao. That is a no-gimme. That is no gimme fight for any fighter. The way he beat Tellez, the Cuban guy, undefeated prospect, the way Abis Barao beat him, and Xander Zayas warned everybody. They said, "Hey, I sparred with this guy. I sparred with Abes Barral before the Abes Barral upset of Taylor's." He said it. Xander Zayas said it to everybody. I sparred with this guy. This guy is no joke. This guy is good. This guy is dangerous. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins. So, he alluded to a possible upset before Abes Barral defeated Tellers, the Cuban prospect who was undefeated at the time. Yeah, Frank Sanchez is good, but Ajit Caballel better. Yeah, I heard of them. That Frank Sanchez is he looks like a decent fighter. I need to see more from him. Thanks for the comments. Subscribe to Tony Also Knows Boxing. MAW1231. Thanks for the comments. I appreciate you commenting and showing love, and subscribe to this channel and being part of the family. Tony Also Knows Boxing, where you get the unadulterated truth. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. The Blue Baron 2791. Richard Torres looks okay. Yeah, he looks okay. I agree with that. I need to see more. I'm not really impressed. I'm not impressed with that. The one that I like, I liked Joshua Edwards on the undercard of not Victor. On the undercard of Virgil Ortiz. I like what I saw in Amari Jones, who's 4-0 with 4 KOs now. And I like what I saw in Joshua Edwards, the heavyweight that De La Hoya has. And I like that De La Hoya is putting energy on fighters that are not only Mexican, but he's also giving other people, other nationalities, an opportunity as well, which I think is dope. That De La Hoya needs to start doing that, and he's been doing that lately. Let's see if he keeps doing that. So far, he has 2 good fighters that I like. Amari Jones, I need to see more. And I think he has Amari Jones. He has Joshua Edwards, a heavyweight. He's 5-0 with 5 KOs. He was able to, I think the corner stopped the fight. Yep, the corner stopped the fight. And he was able to get a stoppage against Zuris, whatever his name was, Zuris. So anyway, I like those fighters that he has, but I need to see more. The heavyweight division has somebody to look out for in Joshua Edwards. And Amari Jones seems like a really talented boxer. I like what I saw. MAW1231. Xander doing what champion's supposed to do. Look to unify as soon as possible. Virgil should have got his Mandel shot versus Fandora. Backroom, the boogeyman of the division versus Kelly should be fired too. Yeah, Backroom Matazalea, right? Backroom looks like he's really good. I want to see more of him. Like I know he's undefeated. I think he's 17-0, and nobody really wants to talk about him. But I do believe that if everything goes well with Xander Zayas versus Abes Barral, I think he's most likely going to fight Backroom, the winner of Backroom versus Kelly. I think that's going to happen. I said it on Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to that channel. I said it first. You heard it over here first on my channel. I don't hold back, and that's what I think is going to happen. Because even though Jerome Boots Ennis he fought for the interim WBA. He's fighting the interim WBC in Virgil Ortiz. I would have thought that, most likely, since he fought for the interim WBA, Jerome Boots Ennis, that he would fight the winner of Xander Zayas versus Abes Barral. That's what I would think. But you never know. I know that Xander Zayas is willing to fight Jerome Boots Ennis, but I don't think his team, Bob Arum, I don't think that they're gonna be putting him in with Jerome Boots Ennis just yet. That's what I think. But do I think that Virgil Ortiz is gonna fight Jerome Boots Ennis? I think that's more possible. I think so. I think that's gonna happen. That's what I think. All right. Mr. Cloud 100, who you got? Boots versus Virgil. But I don't think they're gonna fight because they don't want that ML from a black American fighter. Thanks for tuning into the channel, Mr. MC Cloud 100. I appreciate your comment. You might be right. You might be right, man. I don't know. I think that Jerome Boots Ennis will beat him. I'm just being unbiased, and you would think I would go for the Latino against Jerome Boots Ennis, but I'm not a race fan. I'm actually a real fan where I believe that, I see the intangibles that both fighters have, and I think Virgil Ortiz is pretty strong. He's solid. He's undefeated, and so is Jeron Ennis. But I think Jeron Ennis looks stronger to me. I mean, of course, he's supposed to look stronger against Lima. Lima was nobody. He was nobody special. He did what he was supposed to do. But I'm just going by the eye test. Like, Jeron Ennis looked very skillful and strong. But, of course, he's going to be skillful even more with a fighter that limited like Lima. And he did what he was supposed to do. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at what Jeron Ennis did. He looked impressive, but I want to see how he looks against Virgil Ortiz and Zayas. But I do think that Jeron Ennis, he's gonna beat everybody in the division. But I think the fighter that will give him the best test, Zayas. I think Zayas is no joke, and I think he got a lot of skills. And do I think he could beat Jeron Ennis? Not now, not at this moment. But down the road, it might be a more competitive fight, and it could go either way. But right now, I don't see anyone beating Jeron Ennis right now. This is my honest, unadulterated truth that I'm saying. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to the channel. You know me, I keep it real. I'm not a race fan. I'm a real fan. I just call it for what it is. I'm hardcore. I go hard for my Puerto Rican boxers, my Latino boxers, but I also go hard for the Black American fighters, the Mexican fighters. If they got they got all the attributes, I'm gonna give them credit. I'm gonna give them the credit. Mr. Cloud 100, facts. I respect that. Mr. Cloud 100, me too. He's a good fighter. Pablo Valenzuela 9785, Boots cooks Virgil. I think he does, man. I think it'll be a good fight. I think it'll go maybe 7 to 8 rounds, and I think Boots will. It'll be a competitive fight until the 8th round. I think that Boots will figure out Virgil Ortiz by the 6th or the 5th round, around there, because I believe that Virgil Ortiz is a tough cookie, but I just believe that if Bohachuk, who he was undefeated at the time when he fought, I think he knocked him down 2 times. And they gave the fight to Virgil Ortiz by decision. But, styles make fights, so we don't know exactly if it's going to play out the same way. But I think Jeron Ennis is on another level, skillful-wise, and he's strong. So I think this new weight that he's at, 154, he looks stronger than he's ever looked before, Jeron Ennis. That's what I saw in his last fight. But, of course, against a limited opposition, Lima hasn't fought anybody. He wasn't elite. There was better fighters that he could have fought, but from what I heard, that was the only opponent available for Jeron Ennis. So I believe that weight class, 154 pounds, is an amazing, very competitive, exciting weight class. We got Zayas, the WBA champion. I think he's the WBA, and we got. They got the WBC interim, Virgil Ortiz. No. Yeah. Virgil Ortiz is WBC interim, and he just knocked out, Erickson Lubin. And the WBC champion, we got WBA Zayas. He's fighting Abes Barral. They're fighting for, what am I talking about? The WBC is Abes Barral. He was elevated to WBC because Crawford vacated his belt to fight Canelo. So now he's the official WBC. He's not the interim anymore. No, he's not. He's the official WBA. That's. Let me correct myself. He's the official WBA. He was the interim, Abes Barral. But then now he's the full champion of the WBA because of Terrence Crawford vacating the belt, moving up to fight Canelo, and he's not going back down to 154 again. As a matter of fact, he's going to fight Janibek. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. That's the word that he's going to go try to conquer, unify a 4th weight class, 160 pound, with Janibek. That's what Crawford is going to do. Yes. So let me see. Let me read the questions. The Blue Baron. So yes, let me repeat it again. Abes Barral is the WBA full champion, and I think he's the WBA full champion, and I think Zayas is WBO. That's what it is. He's the WBO full champion, and Abbas Barral became full champion after Terence Crawford vacated and to move up in weight to fight Canelo, and he is the full. Now he's the full WBA champion, Abbas Barral. If you had, okay, let me read the comments. The Blue Baron 2791. Do you think the UK dominating boxing is coming to an end? Right now they haven't had the most competitive fighters since I think Josh Taylor was one of the. I think Josh Taylor was one of the last ones. I don't think it's over for them because there's always somebody coming up. But I don't think that the guy that's fighting Subriel Matias is gonna be making a difference for you guys to make a comeback in England. But hey, it's okay for UK to keep their hopes up because there's always gonna be some talent. In every country that's gonna provide talent. Mr. MC Cloud 100. If you had to make a fantasy fight from the past or present fighters, what fight would you make? I would like to make Sugar Ray Robinson versus Felix Tito Trinidad. I got a video talking about both of their accomplishments. If you want to watch one of the videos, you might get upset at what I say, but I call it for what it is. I did my research and I saw the fighters that they fought, and I compared and I made my assessment. So check out my what I said about both fighters and compared both of their careers. And yeah, you can check out my previous video. If you had to make, there's another fantasy fight that I would like to make. Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather. If you had to make a fantasy, thanks for the comment, by the way, Mr. MC Cloud 100. I appreciate you tuning into the channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. I would also, Mr. MC Cloud 100, if you had to make a fantasy fight from the past or present fighters, what fight would you make? I will also make a Crawford versus Mayweather. That would be interesting. Who do you guys think will win a fight between Crawford versus Mayweather in their primes, both of them at 147? MAW 1231, number 3, says Boots versus Virgil is a great style matchup. Would be fire if or when it happens. Fight could have happened at 147, can be next at 154 now. Yeah, I think it's gonna be next. I think so. If the politics don't get in the way, I think it'll be next. Mr. MC Cloud 100, fire. Yeah. Those are fights, that a lot of people wish they could see. Also, another fantasy fight that I would have loved to see, I would have loved watching, Mayweather versus Pernell Whitaker. What do you think about that? Oh, what about another one? Julian Jackson versus Felix Tito Trinidad. Oh, intense. That's fire right there. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. I definitely would have loved to see Julian Jackson, the Jamaican assassin, against Puerto Rican assassin Felix Tito Trinidad. Oh my God, both of them in their prime, 147. That would be intense. Or 154. Just think about that. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. MAW 1231. Janovic got to beat Erislandy Lara first. Yeah. True. That's not an easy fight. Janovic is a beast, but Lara no slouch. Lara went from outside boxer at 154 to a boxer puncher at 160, setting traps and being successful with counter KOs. Yes, facts. He beat Danny Garcia too. Lara's always been underrated, man, and he's still he's still doing his thing now. You would have thought that he would have retired, but no, he's still in the game. He's still in the game, and he's fighting Janovic, and that's gonna be a unification. So yeah, he gave Canelo all he can handle. Canelo didn't win that fight. I think Canelo lost that fight against Erislandy Lara, but they robbed him. You know how it is, politics. All right, let me see. Pablo Valenzuela 9785. Floyd easily. You think Floyd would beat Terence Crawford? That's kind of hard to say. It's a lot of hypothetical, a lot of different variables there. I don't know, man. I don't know who would win that fight. But I would go for Crawford. Crawford just like he got everything late. Like he started like he didn't get all the fights that he should have gotten with Pacquiao early in his career because of Bob Arum, and they didn't push his career the way they should have. But I think he's making up for all that lost time, and he has to fight Janibek and make history, be the first fighter to unify a fourth division, and I think that he can do it. I think he'll definitely be able to do it. He wants that greatness, and he is great. Terence Crawford is great, and he has to make up for all that time that he didn't get all the fights that he deserved to get. And, you know, it's because of his promotion, you know, Bob Arum. So, yeah, Mr. MC Cloud 100 says Mayweather against Terence Crawford, right? What about Felix Tito Trinidad versus Julian Jackson? Yo, that's a good one. That's a really good one. They both had killer instincts. They both had one punch power. What do you guys think? Give me fantasy fight. Felix Tito Trinidad versus Julian Jackson, or Felix Tito Trinidad versus Sugar Ray Robinson. I got a video talking about Sugar Ray Robinson and Felix Tito Trinidad, making a comparison between the two and who fought the better opposition, etc. Check out my previous videos and check out my interview with Abisael Cotto, who's fighting November 22nd, the same day that David Benavidez is fighting Yarde, the same day that Brian Norman Jr. is gonna fight Devin Haney. I got Devin Haney getting knocked out by Brian Norman Jr. I said it over here. Tony also knows boxing. I got him knocking him out in the 6th round. I think he knocks out Devin Haney in the 6th round. Devin Haney is sleeping on Brian Norman, and he's being arrogant. And I saw that face-off that they had together. I think that he is really not giving Brian Norman the respect that he deserves. He's gonna be he's gonna have a rude awakening in that fight. I think Brian Norman is an assassin. He has assassin on his hat in the face-off, and he's one of my favorite fighters. Brian Norman Jr. He has skills too. That's the thing that Devin Haney is overlooking. He got skills. All right, you may have gotten your one loss removed from your record, Devin Haney, because of Ryan Garcia cheating, but you still got knocked out. You still got hit, even though Ryan Garcia was cheating, but you still got hit. It's like you can't take a punch. You think Brian Norman hits less harder than Ryan Garcia on steroids, on enhancement performance drugs? You think that Brian Norman hits less harder than Ryan Garcia on performance enhancement drugs? Do you think that? I believe Brian Norman Jr. hits way harder than Ryan Garcia on steroid. Way harder. I believe that Brian Norman Jr. is going to knock out Devin Haney in the 6th round. And Abisael Cotto's fighting on the same day, but not on the same card. He's fighting on the Juanma Lopez versus Gaia the Producer pay-per-view event that's sold out already. And Abisael Cotto is fighting at the 130 weight class division. He is no joke. He's 9-0 with 8 KOs, and he's fighting Felix Caraballo, Felix Caraballo was stopped by Shakur Stevenson and Raymond Ford. Those are the only fighters that stopped him. So that's a good test for Abisael Cotto. Abisael Cotto is gonna when Abisael Cotto gets to the top, I think he's gonna give Oshiki Foster hell, and Stephen Fulton. I think he will beat those guys. You got to check him out, Abisael Cotto. All right. MAW 1231 says, with Janibek and Lara unifying, Adames is the missing piece on road to 160 undisputed. Either Bud fights for 3 belts, or lets Janibek, Lara winner fight Adames and then fight for the undisputed versus that winner. I think he's probably going to wait for the undisputed. I think he's going to wait to Adames, the Dominican guy, gets the opportunity, or he'll probably fight the winner of Janibek versus Lara and then fight Adames. I don't know. It all depends on how it plays out. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I do believe that Crawford doesn't want to have any stone unturned. I think that he wants all the belts. He's not going to want just the belt between Janibek and Erislandy Lara. He's gonna also want the belt from Adames as well. So I don't know how he's gonna do it. Like, there's a lot of politics with Adames. They were underpaying him, and that's the reason why he didn't take the fight with Lara. I think they were negotiating a fight with Lara, but they wanted to underpay Adames. And you know the boxing politics. You know the popular fighter gets paid more money. Lara's more popular, and then Adames is not as popular, so he has to settle, and he didn't want to settle. So that's what I heard. But I think that Bud Crawford is gonna want to fight for all the belts. So he'll probably fight individually the winner between Janovic and Arislan de Lara, and then eventually fight Adames, or let it play out between them, where okay, the unified champion between the Janovic versus Lara fights Adames, and then the winner of that fight, I think that he'll probably wait for that too. It all depends on how it works out, how everything transpires. Don't know how it's gonna transpire, you know. MAW1231, thanks for your comments. I appreciate all the comments, and subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel, and I'm going to give you great interviews in the near future. I just interviewed Abisal Cotto, Stephanie Pinheiro the previous week, Malik Quinones, Joey Borrero. I interviewed fighters that are going to be champions, man. All right, and Yanquier Rivera too. I also interviewed Yanquier Rivera. Check out my interviews with Yanquier Rivera. They're all in Spanish though, you know. MAW1231. If Devin beats Brian Norman and Ryan beats Barrio, they can rematch at 147 in WBC title unification. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be a new face in town. Brian Norman Jr., mark my words, I said it over here first. On Tony Also Knows Boxing, that Devin Haney's going to get knocked out in the 6th round by Brian Norman Jr. I said it. It may not be that round, but he's going to get knocked out either way. So I said it here first. Brian Norman Jr. knocks out Devin Haney. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. All right. So that was a good comment though. MAW1231. I appreciate your comments. Thanks for tuning into the channel and subscribe to that channel. Jimmy528. What makes a fighter? Jimmy528. The fire or demons inside? I think what makes a fighter is what he overcomes, not the demons inside that he's dealing with. You have to surpass the old version of what you struggled with and become a higher level and a higher frequency of yourself. You have to be a higher, best version of yourself. You have to overcome whatever you struggled with. And then once you overcome whatever you struggled with, that's when you go to the next level mentally and physically. You just go to another level and you accomplish greatness. But you have to be a better version of yourself. You have to be a higher version than your former self that struggled with adversity and tribulations of upbringing. People that don't surpass the tribulations of their upbringing, they don't get to the next level. They succumb to the tribulations of their upbringing. So that's what I say. A boxer has to be disciplined mentally, physically, and spiritually. You gotta have a strong spirit, strong mind, a strong relationship with God. You have to have a high belief in yourself and a discipline, and you can't have any doubt. If you're confident, you can't have any doubt in your mind, and you can't let anything suppress you. Like if you grew up facing a lot of adversity and you overcame the adversity and you became better than your adversity doesn't make you who you are, but overcoming your adversity defines who you really are. Because you overcame the adversity, you could overcome anything that stands in your way. You could surpass any obstacle. So that's the way I see it. That's what a fighter has to have. Jimmy528, thanks for your question. I appreciate that question. It was a great question. A great question. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. You're tuning into my channel. MAW1231. That's why I said if. Yeah, you're right. I was just making my assessment. If, because we don't know what's gonna happen, but that was a good observation of if that happens. You know, if Devin wins and Ryan Garcia beats Barrio, then in a perfect world that would make sense, a rematch. And if Devin Haney beats Brian Norman Jr., I will salute him, because Brian Norman Jr. is no joke. He is extremely hard. Brian Norman Jr. hits extremely hard. I would be so astonished, and it would be so ironic if Devin Haney beat Brian Norman Jr. I mean, he can box, but he don't have a chin. And I don't think that that Brian Norman lacks boxing skills. He has boxing skills and he has power and he's relentless. When he hits you, he hits you with extreme power. He has one punch power. Power is, he hits like a mule. He's no joke. I don't think that Devin Haney beats Brian Norman Jr. Yeah, man, I appreciate your comments. Jimmy, give the man some likes. Oh, I appreciate that, Jimmy528. Thanks for tuning in to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Click the like button. Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. Don't be afraid to subscribe to my channel. Only the brave people and the people that seek truth subscribe and like my channel. So do what you got to do. If you don't like it, you can leave. But if you like it and you love the truth that's coming your way, embrace it and like and subscribe, because only the strong survive and only the knowledgeable and the people that want to know the truth, they embrace and subscribe to my channel and click like to my channel. Because Tony also knows boxing, keeps it real. He keeps it authentic. He doesn't hold back. And I'm not afraid to ask real questions when I interview my boxers in Spanish. But I'm going to try to get some interviews in English as well. But all the boxers that I've been interviewing now are from Puerto Rico, and they're going to be future champions. And that's the reason why I do it in Spanish, so I can cater to my Latin audience and the English audience as well. All right. All right, MAW1231. Jamel been asking for a Bud fight too. Bud brings nothing to the table. Only way he gets in the mix is he fight and beat Adames for the 160 WBC title. Yeah, I agree. He hasn't been active, and I feel like he has to accomplish something to get in the mix. But you know how boxing is, it's all about names, and they want to make the money. And they'll put the name fighter despite not having a belt or not being active. You know how boxing politics is, my brother? Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying. I agree with everything that you're saying, MAW1231. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. Let me read all the comments before I break out. I've been here for a minute. John Connor 25. God bless. Jesus loves you, man. Thank you, John Connor 25. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Subscribe. God bless you too, my brother. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. All right, this is the last comment I'm going to read, and I'm going to bounce. MAW1231 says, if Brian Norman beats Devin and Barrios beats Ryan, I'd love to see them unify instead, to be honest. Oh, that'd be a good fight, too. That'll be a good fight, too. I think Mario Barrios, he comes to fight, but he's very limited, and I think he will get knocked out by Brian Norman Jr. It'll be fun while the fight lasts. The Nigerian Nightmare. What's up, Mexican guy? I'm not Mexican. You see the flag behind me? Are you ignorant? Oh my God. The Nigerian Nightmare. Do you see my flag back there? I'm not Mexican. I'm Boricua. I got love for my Mexicans. Don't get it twisted. I got love for them. But look at the flag, man. It's common sense. You see the flag. Why would you confuse this flag for the Mexican flag? I'm Boricua, baby. Puerto Rican. But I got love for my Mexicans. But come on. How you going to say I'm Mexican if you see a Puerto Rican flag right behind me? That is ironic and stupid. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. The Nigerian Nightmare. I just want to let you know, correct you. You see the Puerto Rican flag behind me and you say Mexican guy. That is so ignoramus. That is. But anyway, I got love for my Mexicans. Don't get it twisted. I got love for my Latinos in general. But yes, I'm Boricua. So yes, subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. I'm bouncing, and congratulations to Virgil Ortiz. I think Xander Zayas schools Virgil Ortiz. It'll be a good fight while it lasts. And I think Jerome Boots Ennis beats Virgil Ortiz as well. But it'll be a competitive fight until 8 rounds. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also